All right, so our final question of this little section with the table is another chain rule, but it's a chain rule with one of our inverse trig functions, which admittedly are a little bit challenging for us to use. So first, I just want to take a moment and acknowledge, okay, we have an inside function, that's our g of x. We have an outside function, that's our arctan. And as we discovered in class last week, when I showed you with implicit, we hopefully, and this will be on your sheet of derivatives that you'll have with you on the exam, right? This is one of the ones that you're supposed to know. Hopefully know that the derivative of arctan is 1 over 1, that quantity 1 plus x squared. So in this case, that's what we're dealing with when we take that first derivative. So when we are looking at m prime, or our derivative of m with respect to x, the first thing we need to do is take the derivative of arctan, and we have that derivative. It's that thing I just wrote in red. So we're going to have 1 over 1 plus, and this is where a lot of students had a mistake. They wrote x squared, when what is inside of our arctan is more than an x squared. It's a g of x. So remember, a lot of these functions that we saw and wrote down with x's, you'll find in the back of books, instead of with x's, with like a u, right? And then they'll have a u prime as like a chain rule. So they'll just set them up with a chain rule right off the bat. So if you think of it that way, hopefully you recognize when we take our chain rule, derivative of the outside function, which is 1 over 1 plus the thing squared, and the thing is the inside function, which is g of x, and then we're going to have a times g prime of x. So that was the thing that got a lot of people, was that bit right there. Oh, I forgot my square. I was busy babbling about why it was important. So g prime of x. All right, so if we want this derivative at x is equal to 3, we're going to have 1 over 1 plus g of 3, looks like a division symbol, squared times g prime of 3. So let's go find those two things on the table. So we'll start first with the g of 3. So g of 3, that's 4. So here we have a 4. Ooh, that is not the color I like. I do not. That is horrid. 4. All right, and I'll bring all this back down. So we'll have equal to 1 over 1 plus 4 squared. All right, and then we'll get the other piece. We need g prime. That's not the right color. G prime of 3, so we're here in this row, negative 5. So it appears that we're going to end up with a negative 5 over 16 plus 1, 17. Negative 5 over 17, which is D. And you can kind of see some of the mistakes that might happen in the other ones. If you made the mistake of not having that g of x in the denominator, you wouldn't have gotten screwed up here because you wouldn't have found a right answer in terms of moving forward. You just would have known that you were off in some way and hopefully realized, oh, it needs that entire g of x down in the denominator. So there you go, the last one of our table questions, and then we get to move on.